Greetings, fellow heterosexuals. Figured I'd try something different here and try recording a script first and then filming the video to see how that works out better for me. This is my first time recording a video with Audacity, so we're gonna see if that makes any noticeable difference in quality. So, as you may know, I've talked a lot about my own webtoon Coming to the Lavender on this channel. But I also wanted to talk about one of my favorite webtoons, Olympus. Now, Miranda Munt's Muted, particularly her Ghost Town animation meme, I'll put a link in the little doodly-doo, was what drew me to webtoons in the first place. And the webtoon Muted still takes my top spot. But, of course, once I was on webtoons, I was constantly seeing ads for Olympus. Finally, I saw this animated trailer on the webtoons YouTube channel and decided to check it out. And then I fell in love. I love the writing and how multifaceted all the characters are. I love the respect that Hades has for Persephone and his vulnerability, and his depression and the honor that he has, especially compared to his brother Zeus. I love the comic's realistic depictions of different forms of abuse and how it doesn't play female abuse of male partners for laughs. I love that impressionistic wash paint art style and how much energy all the poses have. And I love the fashion, particularly Hera and Persephone's outfits. I haven't really drawn fan art for this series before, but today I felt kind of inspired. I will be honest, it's kind of for petty reasons, which is a little crappy for me, just a bit. See, for the longest time on Twitter, the only Olympus content I ever really saw on there was from Rachel Smith herself and whatever fan art or cosplay she retweeted, which always was few and far between. So recently I'd been seeing a lot more Olympus related content on my thread and I got really excited. Except most of what I've been seeing was criticisms and vague posting about Olympus. Now, full disclosure, this is not that big a deal. Worse things are happening on the internet, and there are other artists who are facing actual legitimate harassment, like the black artist who got all this racist harassment just for celebrating Blacktober. Rachel Smith has a ton of fans, she is making a lot of money off her comic, and it's even getting adapted to a TV show. And Olympus is basically the poster child for webtoons. It's not hurting her or the end of the world to have people criticize her comic. And it's not stopping me from enjoying her comic and still having it resonate with me. You are allowed to not like the comic and have criticisms. And, I've seen a few that seem like genuine complaints, like the lack of body diversity and how the comic largely relies on color to distinguish between the characters rather than silhouettes. And, that's a valid criticism. Although personally for the characters that look really similar to Zeus, you've got his brothers where it makes sense that they would look like Zeus. And I have a theory that since Zeus's infidelities is an aspect of the mythology that Rachel definitely carried over into Olympus, I kind of have a theory that a lot of the male characters that look really similar to Zeus are probably his bastards, but that's just a handcanon. One criticism I saw was that the use of color for every character didn't specify anything about their personality. Now, two things. One, I love when authors use color to tell something about the character and use it to tell the story. And as you may have seen from my previous videos, it's something that I like to use in my own stories. But it's also not really a hard and fast rule that every story that is a part of the visual medium has to use colors that way. and I don't think it's really a personal failing of the story if, the colors are not used that way. Number 2 is Rachel has explained some of the color choices for her characters, so there is some thought being put into it. For example, Zeus is purple because he's king of the gods, and obviously purple is historically been the color for royalty. Hera is gold, fitting for another royal character, but it also shows how she's at odds with her husband, being opposite ends of the color wheel. Hades is blue because he's a gloomy character, and being Lord of the Dead, blue skin is often associated with death. And then Persephone is pink, like the flowers that she grows, and blue and pink are more complementary characters, showing that while they aren't on the same wavelength all the time, they're much more complementary with each other. And, of course, Ares being Hera's son, him being gold makes sense. The first start of these crops of criticisms I saw against Lore Olympus really started with people complaining about how much money Rachel Smith makes off her webcomic. Which kind of baffles me, that's not a good thing? Knowing that it's possible to not just make a living wage off your webcomic, but if it hits the right audience, you can make tons of money and get your webcomic adapted into a TV show? We're supposed to be mad at that? Are these people just upset that it's not their comic that's making over $1 million? I want Webtoons to pay me $1 million to make Coming to the Lavender a full-time series and have it adapted into an animated TV show. But, I'm not mad at Rachel Smith just because she's able to do that now and I'm not. And honestly, I'll get a little honest here. A lot of times, more and more often, I've been feeling insecure about pursuing a career as an artist. Not just because I personally don't have that big of an audience, but also because I follow a lot of full-time artists who constantly talk about the lack of stability and job security. So hearing that there's a way more successful artist than me struggling to make ends meet is terrifying, and it makes it feel like it's impossible to become a successful full-time artist. But when I hear that Rachel Smith was able to make her webcomic a full-time job, not just a living wage, but that much money and having great job security, it makes me feel like I'm less stupid for trying to pursue this career and like I'm not making a stupid choice and throwing myself headfirst into a guaranteed bad idea. I also feel the same way about Rachel Smith as I do about Vivian Medrano in Has Been Hotel. Vivian also seems to be another creator that people seem to love to hate. But, they're both queer female creators who had this passion project, and now it's making huge changes in the industry. The fact that these two projects got as big as they are is amazing, not only because of the quality of the series, but the way that they were made. The fact that it was outside of the normal mainstream industry system is nothing short of spectacular, and I really think it's going to open more doors for creators, and I feel like this is something that is more of a rising tide raises all ships sort of deal. And for me personally, I don't feel bitter about it, I feel encouraged. I mean, it might be a little more frustrating if you aren't already a fan of those series like me, but I mean, even if you're not, still, you've got to give Rachel Smith credit for the fact that she was able to take her webcomic and it exploded into this huge thing. And the fact that she was able to do it, for me personally, it just makes it feel like it's more likely for other people to be able to do it after her. So, that's just kind of what I had to say about that.